When Jimmy and I were designing the layout and the systems of this new van, one thing that was super important to us was making sure that we can be off-grid as long as possible. And one of our biggest bottlenecks in our previous van was our 40-gallon water tank, which, don't get me wrong, is actually a pretty nice amount of water for 2 people. We could last about a week and a half very comfortably, but we want to see if we can push it a little bit further than that. So for this van build, we are doubling that, and we're gonna have 80 gallons of fresh water.
We don't really have much space to actually put a full 80-gallon tank, so instead, we're gonna go with 2 40-gallon tanks.
So for a speed recap of our floor plan, this is gonna be the kitchen, desk, shower, and bathroom. We're gonna have 2 couches right here under the windows, and then our bed is on an elevator lift, so it'll lower down when we wanna have the bed. So underneath these couches is where our water tanks are currently, and I think that this will work pretty well to have 80 gallons kind of tucked away, hidden in the van. The weight distribution is really nice because it's right by the rear wheel well, so I think that's a good spot to put a lot of weight. The only real problem with this is that we're gonna have to figure out how to connect these 2 tanks because we don't wanna have to switch between them. We would like to just pull from our water tank. So we're not raising up the floor any more than this. This is gonna be totally open in between them, so we're gonna have to get a little bit creative about how we're gonna connect these 2.
One dirty mat.
Wow, look who it is.
Oh no. We just started the video and we're already getting cat footage.
Oh, I can't help it. Look how cute he is.
Nice and OSHA approved.
Oh my gosh. Are you using a cinder block?
Yeah. There's so many ants on this thing.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
How do you feel about having ants in our plumbing?
Not great. Cocky didn't even look up when you started sawing. Like, he's so used to our noise and shenanigans.
He's so chill. He's trying to submit his application to come with us.
I know. He's making a good case for it.
This feels like a weird place to start, given the problem that we just laid out for you guys. But we will get to that. First, we have to set up a panel that we can put the rest of the plumbing stuff on.
This is definitely not the update we were hoping to give on the kitchen cabinet project. These pillars were doing great. They're carved beautifully. We got Danish oil on them and it was looking awesome. But then we decided that we really wanted to poly them so that they're extra protected against like bumps and scratches over time. And I still don't really understand what happened. Maybe it was just too thick of a coat. Whatever it was, the poly seems to be reacting really weirdly and creating some blemishes on the wood. I'll call it that. Basically, there's just these patches that are really uneven in texture and it feels a little bit waxy, which has not ever been our experience with poly before. Also, around all of the edges, it really kind of highlights some areas where it's like little white areas of buildup. We did a test piece, but that test piece was not carved, so I'm not really sure what happened. These pieces are just not really turning out great. But Jimmy is already working on fixing them. We are still working on selling Pancake and finding the next buyer. As of right now, nothing is final. And in my mind, nothing's truly final until it's final. So we're still definitely working on that and juggling the van build with trying to sell a van and trying to make videos. We have been just a little bit overwhelmed lately. So the videos might feel a little bit different we're trying to kind of get back into the swing of things because we do really love making these videos and sharing them with you guys. But to be honest, the vlog style has just not really been working out as well lately. Trying to bring along a camera with every little step that we do and trying to get a good angle and make sure everything's lit correctly, it just kind of was slowing down the other projects that we really need to get going. So you might be seeing a little bit more of me. I'm learning a lot about cameras and how to, you know, shoot video. Usually that's Jimmy's forte. We're just trying to figure out what works for us because you've probably noticed our posting schedule has been a little bit slower, and honestly, our building has been a little bit slow. Trying to vlog every step with everything else we've got going on, we kind of just bit off a little more than we could chew. So let us know in the comments if this video's good or or if you really hate it and miss the vlog style. It might take us a little bit to get into the swing of things, but basically all that to say, I don't know. We love making these videos. We're very lucky to be able to do what we do, but it gets tough sometimes. Good morning, cocky, handsome boy. I'm gonna be so sad to see this band go. We've seen so many great places and had so many awesome memories and travels with her. Whoever her next owner is, she's gonna be going on some really, really great adventures. And this is just the start of her next chapter too. It helps that I've had a couple months to process it and that we've got our next chapter sitting in front of her in the driveway and a ton of work left to do on that. So I don't really have as much time to be sad about the goodbyes. I feel like if you guys are even remotely interested in van life, you're gonna love today's sponsor, Fantic. This is the Fantic Slim V8 Apex car vacuum, and it is a van life essential. Its compact size makes it perfect for life in a traveling tiny home. It only weighs about a pound and is smaller than a water bottle. But maybe even more importantly, it's powerful enough to keep up with us on the road and in the workshop. It has an 80,000 RPM brushless motor, and there's even an option to adjust the speed depending on what you're using it for. It can run on eco mode for 40 minutes or max mode for 13 minutes. And since it's a 4-in-1, not only does it vacuum, it can also inflate, blow, or pump. It's easy to empty without getting your hands dirty, and the filter is washable, so you know that it'll last a long time. And it comes with 10 practical accessories that make it extremely versatile. I also really like that it has a nice portable bag for easy storage. As long as Jimmy and I have been on the road, we've always had a handheld vacuum cleaner with us, and this one works the best for us by far. So if you're ready to get one of these for yourself, head to the link in our description and use our discount code JNV8APEX for the V8 Apex portable car vacuum. Speaking of the new van, Jimmy has been out working on her all morning, and he just finished up something that's kind of huge that Pancake doesn't have. So it doesn't really look any different from the outside. Jimmy just finished installing for our plumbing our undermount water tank. It's a 10-gallon gray water tank, if I haven't already said that. This is gonna be our gray water tank for our shower and our sink. We got a big motorized ball valve that definitely will make things easier than having to carry out that blue jug every time we need to dump gray water. Hi, kitty. While we're on the topic of plumbing, I think we are overdue for a plumbing update, so I'm gonna head inside and show you what Jimmy has been working on.
Okay, so to give you a quick overview of our plumbing setup, we'll start on this side, which is the side where one of our water tanks will go. What I've done is I've drilled a hole in the side of the wall here, and we'll have this flexible tubing coming in through the side. This is the good stuff. It's not from Home Depot. I went ahead and bought this from a marine website. It is rated for potable water as well as hot and cold temperatures. So this is what we're gonna be using throughout our system. Basically, once it enters, it goes through a small sediment filter just to get out like the big debris if there would be any. And then it hits our pump, and then from the water pump, it goes to an accumulator tank, which if you're not familiar, all it does is regulate the pressure so that like if you wanted to get a little bit of water out of the faucet, it doesn't turn on your pump like with every little minute pressure change. So it kind of regulates that and kind of evens out the flow. And then from there it tees off, and one side goes through our water filters that will go to our sink. And that's gonna be what we're gonna be drinking from. The other side of the tee actually runs, or will run, through the ceiling of the van to our shower. And then on that side is where I'll have a hot water heater mounted. So the hot water will be nice and close to the shower, which is something we learned in our first build, which was the amount of water that sits in the pipes after the hot water heater and before your shower faucet makes a pretty big difference. Because if you're in the shower and you turn on the faucet and that pipe full of water hasn't gone through the water heater yet, it's very cold. So we wanted to reduce that as much as we could, so that's why our water heater is mounted right up against the shower side. And since we are gonna have hot water, I went ahead and ran another tube back through the ceiling, out through, and then it will connect back to the sink. So we will have hot water in our sink as well. And if you've noticed, the hot water actually won't go through the water filter. So that'll help save the lifespan of these a little bit more. So whenever we shower, it's not like we're gonna shower with like purified drinking water. It'll be just normal potable water, not filtered.
These boards are starting to look a lot better now that they're getting the poly stripped off of them, but it's not a quick process by any means. To get the water-based poly off the boards, Jimmy is basically putting on this stuff called Citrustrip, which removes the poly, and you just kind of let it sit on there for a while, but then the Citrustrip has to be removed itself. So he's using mineral spirits to get the orange goo off once the goo removes the poly. It definitely adds a bit more complexity to go through with this process and remove the poly. Pretty much the big thing I'm not really sure about is whether or not we're gonna try and poly again once this coat of poly is removed. That is crazy how much better that looks. Yeah. The first piece that we've stripped the poly off of is pretty much done. And I think that it was a really, really good call to get rid of the poly on here. It feels so much better. It's basically restored to how it was after we did the Danish oil. And it doesn't have any of the weird little white crusties or any of the textures and blemishes on the wood. The only real downside to this is that it's gonna add a pretty good amount of time to go back and fix all of these. Good morning. Today is kind of a big day for the van build, and it's gonna seem like this is coming out of nowhere, and it kind of is, but today we're gonna be installing the floor. We've been mostly working on the plumbing. We've started working on a couple of other projects just to try and get things going and get this build moving a little bit faster than it has been the last couple of months. So we went ahead and picked out a flooring that we're gonna use. We're gonna have kind of, if you're not familiar with a herringbone pattern, it's like chevron, but it's a little bit different. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you'll see really soon. The thing that makes the herringbone pattern really cool, but also very tricky to install, is that it kind of creates this nice V, but it's got the corners of the wood still intact, so they're not just cut off into diagonals. The weird thing about this is that not every luxury vinyl plank that's click lock can be arranged in this orientation. Basically, it comes with A boards and B boards, and they're shaped differently. So you can tell easiest from the back. So the ones with this black underlayment are one type of board, and the ones with this gray underlayment are a totally different type of board. So they fit together to do this cool little thing. And I think it's gonna look really, really neat. Although I have heard that it can be really annoying to install. We'll find out and we'll let you know. That looks pretty wild, but that's basically where we're gonna be installing our water heater so that we can have hot water for the shower. It'll also run a line to the sink, but we wanted to put it as close as possible to the shower faucet so that we can prioritize getting hot water there very quickly. I promise it's very sturdy and stable. There's a lot of screws holding that thing in. They're just hidden behind the mat. Jimmy has been going through and getting the pieces lined up where we're going to install them on the floor of the van. And while he's doing that, I have been going through and making sure that we don't accidentally have two of the same printed pieces right next to each other, because this is obviously not real hardwood. So I don't want to have anything weird where it looks like two identical pieces of wood right next to each other, because I think that would be a little bit uncanny looking. These pieces aren't exactly the same, and they're an A and B board, so they're technically like different, so they would go in this orientation and not parallel to each other. But I think this is the best, most obvious example of two boards that are real similar. I think it's just always a good idea to make sure that the pieces are spaced up how you like them. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am loving how they look so far in the van. I can't wait to see these all fully installed and in their cool little fish braid pattern. Earlier, when we were researching what it's like to install this herringbone vinyl plank, I saw a lot of stuff online about people saying it's really difficult to install and that it's difficult to find a contractor who's willing to come out and do it. I don't think we have any special magic talent, or I don't know what's going on, but this is actually not too bad to get it all lined up. We went with the LifeProof brand because we've had pretty good luck with their other types of vinyl plank before. And it's got like underlayment already on it, which is very nice and keeps it kind of cushiony. I don't want to speak too soon because we're probably not even halfway done yet, but it's actually not that bad to install. The trick we've been using to make sure that our herringbone pattern is straight along the whole van is if you take the midpoint of the short end of these boards and you mark it, measure it out so it's like more precise, but you mark the midpoint on each board, and then whenever you go to line them up with each other, you draw a line that connects all of the midpoints together, and that's your center line for the flooring, and you're gonna line that up to match the center line for the room. I wanted to wait and see how it turned out before I tried to explain what the tip was. Jimmy's just laid the last couple pieces to go the entire length of the van, and it's dead on, perfectly straight, so seems to work. Well, I could not be any happier with how this floor turned out. Before we put in the floor, it really felt like when we were in the van, we were outside, but now the van feels solidly like an indoor space. Every time I come in, I find myself like taking off my shoes. I'm gonna have to stop that because we have a good bit more construction work to do, and that's just not gonna be great, but it's just so comfortable. This is definitely the biggest visual transformation we've had so far. I'm so stoked with how it turned out, and I'm really glad that we took the extra time to get it how we wanted and figure out exactly what we wanted it to be. Really, the only thing missing right now is the kitchen cabinets, so I think we might pull those in just to see how they fit in the space.
Yeah, they could have been in here by now if I didn't mess up on the trim. So, my bad.
Well, hey, you're perfecting it. You didn't mess up.
That's right. Yeah, I was experimenting.
Exactly.
This looks like such a hodgepodge. And the parts that we stained walnut look not the same as real walnut. I'll say that.
Yeah. No, yeah, this looks awesome. It's like, I can imagine it. It still takes some imagination, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Fish braid pattern. Fish braid. Fishtail braid. That doesn't really sound as good for a floor. You wanna come be a van kitty, Cocky? You'd be so good at it. Wait, is that why it's called herringbone? Like herring the fish? Fishtail braid?